Up next on the bonus round, we find out if Nintendo's stomped on its weaknesses just like Mario stomps on a Koopa. Has Nintendo shaken its kiddie image?
A lot of the older gamers out there are interested in graphics. I think they're interested in online.
And why is Nintendo so behind with online play?
But of all the systems, I mean, Wii needs to rely on online the least. Just the same way it doesn't need to rely on graphics.
Our three industry experts give us their take next on the bonus round. Hey, welcome back to the bonus round. This time we're talking about the Nintendo Wii, and joining me are video game composer Tommy Tallarico and the creator of Video Games Live. From Sierra, we have executive producer Pete Wanat, who just finished Scarface, The World Is Yours. And returning again to the bonus round for the second time, we have Michael Pachter from Wedbush Morgan Securities. All right, so let's talk a little bit about some of the problems that, criticisms that people have had of Nintendo as a company over the years. One of the things that we talked about before is that this kiddie image of Nintendo, that it's, a system, for kids. All their systems are like that. GameCube with its purple color sort of reinforced that. Reggie's been very vocal in saying that, we want the Wii to appeal to an older audience. They really pushed Red Steel initially this year, as that was going to be a game that was a great example of a mature title that's coming out for the Wii at launch, really important. And then I think people played it, and a lot of people were disappointed with it, said that it didn't deliver. So is Nintendo doing what it needs to do to make the system appeal to an older audience?
No, I honestly believe they're not. I mean, I think a lot of the older gamers out there are interested in graphics. I think they're interested in online. You look at your.
You're talking more sort of the hardcore
Halo 2s
guys.
and the this and that, but
But some of those guys, don't you think they just have such an affinity for Mario and Zelda that they'll just play these games?
Well, that's the thing. I mean,
there's a charm to them.
Nintendo always has their great, the Nintendo fanboys, as they're coined on the internet. But they have their great, fan base, and they'll always have that, and that's great. And they love. I mean, I love Zelda. I love playing the new Zelda. And I love Mario and Zelda as well. But when I want to get into a game, I consider myself an older player. I'm gonna pick up. I want to pick up something else.
Right.
What
do you think, Pete? I mean, are they doing enough to?
I mean, I think that they don't need the hardcore gamers. Like Nintendo is a system. Like I'm buying the Wii for both sets of my nieces and nephews for Christmas because I want them to grow up the same way I did on Nintendo games. Yeah. Nintendo's they are the modern day Disney. Like Disney is far less relevant.
Viva Pinata?
No, they're far less relevant to my generation in terms of if you look at back, we don't have any reverence for Mickey Mouse. We have a lot of reference for Mario. Yeah. It's just that's what I want my nieces and nephews to play. I think if you have younger kids, the Wii is the system to get. It's a lot of fun, and you want kids to be playing that. And I think if you look at the Wii as a starting point for the game system 10, 15, 20 years from now, when you're doing, when you have, standing in a virtual type world, this remote isn't going to cut it anymore. You need a remote that can act in a 3D space. I mean, I think if you look at the innovation that Nintendo sets out, everybody copies Nintendo, whether it's gameplay, whether it's control mechanisms. They do it all the way through. Fair enough.
I think Pete defines the Nintendo dad, although you're the Nintendo uncle. But but he defines that new person. It's the guy who was between 10 and 20, grew up playing on the NES and the Super NES, and wants to relive that experience with their kids. And what Nintendo did that I think is smart is they're going to keep bringing the kids in. You will keep getting the 6 and 10-year-old kids in. But now you've suddenly got this group of parents and perhaps this group of mothers who want to participate and play the game, grandparents, because they've made it approachable enough, friendly enough, family-friendly enough. And I think that, Tommy, I think you're right that the hardcore guy in between, the 20 to 35-year-old guy who just wants to play a game and really get into the graphics and the challenge of the game, he doesn't care. They're bracketing that guy. And these young people are going to end up being 25-year-olds someday.
And that guy will maybe still buy a Wii because he's a hardcore gamer, and it might not be his primary system, but they might buy the secondary system because they love Zelda.
I think the Wii is the second console of choice in every household that has two, and they're going to buy it first because it's cheap, you can get it, There's a ton of content on it, and it's pretty easy to pick up.
Totally. Agree.
How many houses do you think have to though in this generation? Because the prices are different.
I'd say, well, if you include handhelds, I'd say that of all households that have consoles, they're probably 60%.
Well, what about just like out of the the three systems between 360, PS3, and Wii? How many people do you think buy a 360?
I think it'll end up being 30% when
Wii
you're
60
done.
for the win?
Yeah, it'll be 30% when you're done. I think at
About
least,
the same
at
as
least
this
in the US.
generation, then.
Yeah, I mean at least. And the real question is, does the Wii replace the handheld? So as the kid that you get the handheld for, instead of making him grow up and play on your Xbox, you actually bridge that gap and get him a Wii when he's 11 or 12 after getting him a DS when he's 7 or 8. Right. I think you will actually see that. So you may expand that penetration to 40%.